And you're live.
We're live.
There we go. Look at that. We have got the incredible Francesco James joining us this evening. And we would also just like to say a personal massive thank you to these two for not just their support for this event, but previously in the run-up to the event as well, and getting involved in everything that we've been doing. So I am sure we're all in for a great evening to explore the passion of these two and also the knowledge and the experience as well. So we'll hand very quickly over to James. If you would like to introduce yourself to everybody in the audience for us, please.
Fantastic. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name's James. Just want to point out firstly, Francesco never gave me the dress code, so...
Oh, I know, he sticks and blow.
It's just not on, is it? I've come in a scruffy black t-shirt and just my pants, so I won't be panning down this evening. But yeah, my name's James. I have been passionate about wine for coming on for a decade now, I guess. I got into it first when I was 18 years old. I went to travel around Australia for a little while. The original plan was to leave college and go do a politics degree at Bristol, and then that just sounded like a really, really shit idea. So I decided instead to book a flight to Australia, and a week later that's where I was, and decided after a little bit of working here and there in a university bookshop and doing a medical trial as well at one point, because why not? I took a job, actually, funnily enough, in near to the wine country in South Australia, but actually on a table grape vineyard. So farming Crimson Seedless, a really delicious table grape. But yeah, from there, kind of being in and around kind of South Australia, Barossa Valley, McLaren Vale, just really fell in love with wine and decided it's something to do for as long as possible, really. So yeah, when I came back to the UK, I was working in and around the restaurant industry for longer than I'd like to admit at this point. Mostly, working, well, in fact, one point Naomi and I worked together at a little family-run chain of turn and burn restaurants in Manchester, which was an experience.
Yeah, we'll just breeze on past that.
Yeah, we'll move past that. And then, kind of took a job back 4 years ago now with a little wine merchant in Manchester called Hanging Ditch. That's kind of where I turned my passion into more of a profession. And then going back to, I think, the end of 2018, not very good on dates, there was a restaurant called Manor opened up in Manchester. Took a job there as an assistant sommelier. A couple of months later, as the head sommelier. A couple of months after that, we got our Michelin star. 1 year and 4 days after we opened. So it was all a bit of a whirlwind year, to say the least. I don't really remember any of it. I was either working 100 hours or getting drunk. So the entire year is a bit of a blur. And then, lockdown happened, and kind of life slowed down, as I think it did for most of us. And
I bet the wine didn't slow down.
No, the wine sped up. It's weird. I don't know the correlation, what happened there, but yeah. So realizing that those hours weren't really what I wanted to be doing, I decided Manor after lockdown 1, and wasn't really sure what I was going to do. And then I said to myself, I wasn't planning to take another sommelier job, at least for a little while. And then the opportunity at Northcote appeared, and opportunities don't come up there very often. The last 2 head sommeliers both did 7 years each, and in their time there achieved their master sommelier through the court. So yeah, it was kind of too big an opportunity not to take. So I accepted that role on the 29th of October, and then lockdown 2 and then lockdown 3 happened, and I haven't yet started. But I am very excited to do so when I'm allowed.
No, amazing. Obviously, we've known each other now for around 12 months, I'd say, since we first connected. The world of social media during lockdown. And then, obviously, you and Naomi realised that going back a few years, you spent a couple of months unbeknown to each other on the floor of a turn and burn restaurant in Manchester, like you said. So obviously amazing, and I think Fran said as well in there, obviously fast track as well. It's been a whirlwind couple of years for you, and it's great to see
very much so.
The opportunity at Northcote, which will be, I'm sure, amazing, and somewhere we visited a couple of years back, and we'll definitely look forward to visiting again. So no, it's a pleasure to have you tonight, James, and we look forward to discussing everything with you. So
cheers.
Over to the man in the wonderful shirt, Francesco.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Apparently, it's the wrong code for me, guys. Sorry about that. But I'm just testing my new shirts because I gained some weight, as I think most of us had during this year of lockdown. I'm Francesco. I came to London in January 15, purely just because I had a tech company, and actually had two, and I moved here. But I have a few problems with the language at the beginning, of course, because I thought that I knew how to speak English, but that was exactly the case. So I struggled a little bit, and I went to do basically what I'm doing for all my life, which is working in a restaurant. Unfortunately, I had a very, very sad and tough childhood where my uncle was a chef de rang, and sommelier was teaching me at 6, 7 years old how to carry 7, 8 plates and 18, 20 glasses. That was it, but he was also giving me booze. So there we are. We're here, and now I'm running as a assistant general manager at the Harris Bar in James Street, Marylebone.
Yeah, super.
That's it.
And I think your definition of a difficult childhood might be different to some of ours, especially some of us up north, eh? There we go. So, no, thank you, Francesco, and thank you both of you for joining us tonight. I think first things first is to let's hear what's in the glass. What have you gone for tonight?
So I'm, as is often the case when I'm out for dinner or just at home, I'm triple glassing it tonight.
Wow, look at that.
We have the Cosse 2012 Cuvée Sophistiqué. Which is
what I've got.
It's really good. I have had this open in the fridge for a little bit too long, so it's lost a bit of fizz, but it's still great.
Mm-hmm.
The wonderful Ideal Celeste from Philippe Glavier, which is their rosé, which is 10% Pinot Noir, 90% Chardonnay. Really, really interesting little rosé. And then, of course, because we'll be talking about it later, the AS from Champagne Salon.
Super stuff. And Francesco, what's in your glass?
It is AS Salmon.
Yeah.
Beautiful one.
And we obviously learned a lot of about that cuvee from Alex himself yesterday. So that was I hope you guys found that beneficial as well. We thought it was a great session to listen to Alex and to Marianne as well from Maison Gamay. So
I think let's start with a bit of a poll.
Oh.
Start off, because the session tonight is all around all things food and champagne. So
Indeed.
We would like to know first who currently offers champagne as a food pairing. So yes, you do, or no, you currently don't. So
You want to type that away? This is where we get technical now, and I get shouted at for not clicking the right things for Naomi to type in.
well, I don't need to type it. We'll just say yes or no.
Okay, so yes or no. We're going to start the vote now. Yes or no on the poll coming through. Do you use champagne in your establishment as a food pairing? Start the vote. Yes or no? 100%.
Great, yeah.
Great start to the evening. So, with that as the topic of our first conversation, we're going to go to the two superstars, and we're going to say to James, we know you've got a passion for champagne and for especially smaller estate champagnes as well. So could you give us a little bit of a brief info on your style of pairing champagne with food and what things you really sort of prefer when you do that?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, my ethos with champagne is the same as my ethos with any other wine, that when a guest comes into my establishment, wherever that might be, I want to kind of give them three things. I want to educate them, I want to entertain them, and I want to give them something that is genuinely delicious. My focus, particularly, I won't do much about Northcote because I haven't started there yet, but particularly at Manor, my focus, because it was quite a concise list, was on kind of small artisanal producers, leaning towards your kind of natural, biodynamic, organic, anything. When it comes to wine, it's sometimes not the most friendly industry to the planet, so I think any producers that are really pushing for that, I think is great.
Yeah.
I always look for a wine with a story behind it. I believe as a sommelier, most of my job is just kind of making people laugh, making people smile with silly stories about, be it the producer, the grapes, the region, whatever it is. Champagne as a region has so many amazing stories, most of them probably apocryphal, but it doesn't really matter. A story doesn't have to be true to be fun, though.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of that's the way I focus, and that's for me the reason that as much as I love some of the Grand Marque champagnes, in fact, all of the Grand Marque champagnes, I think they are fantastic. I think they're very, very good at what they do. It's not what I get excited. What I get excited about is showing something that people have never seen before, have never tried before. I want to kind of change their opinion on the wine that they're drinking.
Definitely. I think obviously that fits in completely with the topic of obviously everything we've discussed this week, and especially with story. And I think some of the stories we've heard this week from Alex, Marianne, and Alice as well, I think they go hand in hand with today's consumer and what they expect from an experience when they go out to dine. So in terms of food then as well, could you put a finger on what would be an ideal food pairing for you with a glass of, let's say a glass of rosé champagne, because we know you're a fan of that.
Okay, I am indeed. Rosé champagne is what I would drink for the rest of my life if that's all I was allowed to drink. Yeah, I mean, one thing for me, I think when looking at champagne and food pairings is almost moving away from this idea that it's a champagne and a food pairing. It's just a wine and a food pairing, like anything else. And I think people can be very safe when they're pairing champagne, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of the safe pairings are absolutely great. They're safe pairings for a reason. But I love looking at a rosé. For me, a rosé champagne can often match the color of the food you're eating. So be it something like a nice steak, duck, venison. It's really, particularly kind of rosé de Sanier styles where they've got that more kind of grippy tannin. They can pair beautifully with a nice kind of fatty, gamey meat. And so something along the lines of rosé champagne with venison. Venison's also one of my favorite meats. Would be my go-to if money was not an object.
I love that. I think first tip of the day already is you pair a rosé champagne with something of a similar colour food. I like that. So Francesco, from that then, shall we delve into the world of Francesco and food? Can we learn a little bit more about what we know? You love your fizz from all parts of the world, not just champagne, everywhere. What is it about champagne or bubbles that you enjoy pairing with food?
That's a great question. Personally, is a way to live, and I think I can speak for those days in France as well, but also people making stay in bubbles in Spain, and I think it's something that you guys will realize in terms of culture movement. When you make something, it does get into your life, and then it's normal to us for us to have it like as aperitif. Yeah. And this can be on daily basis, and it doesn't matter if it's a Sharma or a classic method. Of course, I do love champagne, and the way I enjoy it the most usually is with a kind of finger food, and that's my way to have it. Just piece from culture. As I do have my background in wine and food, I do love to play a lot with food. I love the chromatic therapy, as I want to call it, of James. Like definitely pairing your food, the color of your food, with your champagne is amazing. Like also try something with rosé champagne. Beetroot, sour cream, that makes it kind of that pink, a little bit shocking. The one you gotta love it. You gotta taste for that. But yeah, definitely going on something that has substance. So pizzetta. I don't know. Have you been in Italy? Anyone at any point in your life, guys?
Yes, I have.
You spent more time in Italy than me. Yeah.
Fantastic. We do have a lot of pizza-based little finger food.
Yeah.
Okay. And something that we can translate here, because I guess some of the people listening to us, they work in different environments. Can be like a puffy pastry, something like that. Stuff. I love it.
Definitely. No, I think it's really interesting to see how culture plays a big part in obviously personal taste, but personal sort of visions when it comes to food pairing and things. And I agree with with both of you with the colour thing. I think it's something so simple to make a big impact. I think what we'd like to do with this topic on obviously favourite food pairings is we would like to ask the audience in my worst Chris Tarrant impression. We would like to speed networking. So I know you all love this. The time is set to 2 minutes. We're only going to give you 5 minutes overall, so we might cut you off halfway through a third matching. However, when we come back on stage, we will be inviting people up. So we would like to hear about your favourite food pairing with champagne. Mm-hmm. We want you to go onto the speed networking, obviously say hello to whoever you match up with. We'll be on there as well, and we will try and see what amazing things are out there, what ideas people have, and we'll welcome you back onto the stage to give us some ideas as well. So we're going to take a quick break, 5 minutes maximum. We'll be back on stage and we'll open the floor up to the audience, if that's all right. So we'll see you all very, very soon. Say hello. You've got 2 minutes and give each other your best food pairing with champagne. See you in 5.
And we're back.
We are back. We are live.
There we go.
And we've also managed to get you two back. That works very well.
All right.
We're all right on this software this week. It's been a success.
Yep.
Apart from nearly losing the battery on the first day. That could have been a disaster. So, Francesco, James, did you manage to chat with anybody on the speed networking? Did you get through to someone?
I've got Pasquale.
Pasquale!
Yeah, but that was short. Because
too short.
I didn't remember about the 2 minutes brew.
So you spent 2 minutes introducing yourself, and then Pasquale couldn't have a chance to speak.
No, well, actually, we had our chances. we shared a little insight of what we're doing, so that was good.
Super stuff. James, did you manage to get through to anybody? We struggled.
I did, yeah. No, I had a fantastic chat with Chris, Michael, and Natasha. So
wow, you was holding everybody then.
Not the first time I've speed networked, guys.
There you go. So,
unfortunately, there was a story I was already planning on telling, and I've kind of given them little spoilers as to the story.
Ooh, I like that. That's cool. So shall we see if anybody is willing? Sorry, that was super quick, Pasquale says. I love it. Shall we see if anybody would be willing to jump on stage with us? I know there's quite a few people. There's somebody else that's just joined in here. Shall we see if anybody would be willing to put their hands up and tell us their favourite food and champagne pairing? I know there's a few in the audience that would be keen for this. I know Michael would get up on stage. I know, I'm sure Michael. I know Chris will. Oh, we got a raise hand. It's Chris. Hey. Hello. Let's hand the mic to Chris. There's going to be 4 of us on screen now. This is getting chaos.
We love it.
See if it works. Wow, here we go.
There
Looks promising.
Hey!
Hello, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hello. Guys, Chris has a shirt.
Yeah. Oh, he does. Great work. So, Chris, thanks for joining us. Would you like to share us a quick story, quick food pairing that you enjoy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was kind of halfway through talking to James about it because the time ran out. I had a really, really lovely Côtes and Sealy Blanc de Blanc, which had been aged for an extra long period of time on Lees, and it was absolutely gorgeous, really lovely autolytic character. And I was at London Wine Fair 2019, it would have been, and they were pairing it with blue cheese, Stilton.
Ooh, wow!
And it was magic. It was weird, but it was something I'd even thought of before. But the autolytic character alongside the blue kind of funk of the cheese, it was a match made in heaven. Honestly, that just kind of blue cheese on crackers with that sparkling wine would have been heaven. Honestly, it's the perfect kind of aperitif appetizer. Yeah, gorgeous.
That sounds very intriguing. With the Blanc, you can understand that it's something that maybe people would raise an eyebrow to, but as soon as once they've tried it, they'll be like, yes, let's give it a go. So I'm going to put that out to everybody. Then I'm going to go yes, no poll based on Chris's suggestion. Everybody that is listening, we won't type it in because it'll take us forever. So yes or no, blue cheese and sparkling wine, Blanc de Blanc. Yes or no? I'm going to vote on this. I'm going to go yes.
I'm a big yes. You know also what you can do? You can put it on the bread, put a little bit of acacia honey or manuka honey, and thyme.
Wow, a bit of honey in there. Oh, wow.
That'd be incredible.
Amazing.
It looks like
it's a popular one.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there. 100%. Chris,
100%. There you go. Your first contribution this evening to the stage has been a success. Well done, Chris.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
And because of that, because it was such a success, we're now going to boot you out. See you later.
Yeah,
see you shortly, Chris. Thanks for that.
see you later.
Super. So,
have we got anybody else? I haven't got time for anybody else.
I think we'll move on because we've got lots of questions we want to ask everybody. Okay. And I know Francesco is itching to show us some of his exciting creations in the kitchen. So based on that, shall we move on to what you guys have been planning a little bit? Shall we see what some of your creations have been? Shall we start with Francesco? And would you talk to us a little bit about what you've been cooking up in the kitchen today?
So there was a funny idea because we have been like-minded with James, no? The tasting of this, yes, with you guys, and as he said, he would decant it. I totally love that idea, and as well that also with food. So I did something. He did something else. I brought to you a little pairing with this yes. That would work for you. So I introduce you. This is a tuna roe, just roe with béarnaise, with cilantro, which is coriander.
Coriander, yes.
And that's it. Very, very light. But the thing is that this champagne, my point of view, goes very, very well with both either the tuna, which is kind of oily fish, but also this buttery sauces, hollandaise, béarnaise. In this case, is just a revisitation of béarnaise. But as we know, it goes very well with fried food as well. Yeah, tell me. I see you crying for a question. Cameron.
Yes, sorry. I was just going to say it's tempting for you just to be showing us a plate and us not being able to take that with you. Well, we will trust your cooking and your flavour is as good as the presentation because that looks very impressive.
Thank you. I hope so.
I think we're definitely in the wrong house. I think we should have maybe come round and we should have had the pairing together.
We should have gone to Francesco's. So just to brief everybody in the audience, those that can see this bottle. So we discussed this yesterday. So this is the Salmon AS. So the AS stands for Alexander Salmon, who is the latest wine grower in the family based in Chaumezy, northwest of Montandaran. And this cuvee is 50% Pinot Noir, 50% Chardonnay. Double aged in oak. So the Chardonnay is from 2010, and that was aged in oak for 20 months in barrel. And then the Pinot Noir was aged for 9 months, and that comes from 2010. So this was then brought together in a bottle, and this cuvee was disgorged in late 2019. And we learned that yesterday from Alex that this is selected from only 1.5 hectares of his land. So out of 10.5 hectares he owns, 9 of those are Meunier, and the others are Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So he selects his best grapes to go into this and his special club cuvee, which we've got on the side as well. So we tasked James and Francesco to come up with some ideas for pairing with this unique cuvee with the double aging in wood, a very good age at the moment. And they both came up with some incredible ideas. So the fish dish there with the creamy sauce, I think that would work very, very well. And especially the raw fish, I think it would give it enough bite and enough flavour to stand up to the wine as well, because the wine is quite unique. And it'd be interesting to ask James how it has worked after you've decanted it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, decanting, I'm not saying I would do it for every guest because it's decanting a champagne, but I think it's worked really well. When we tasted it together on Tuesday, when you pop and pour the AS, the oak, as much as it's still really nicely integrated, it is in your face, isn't it? It is right front and center with the champagne. I just think decanting it has softened it just that little bit, and it's not changed it hugely. But I think it's definitely worth doing. I think it's just made it, everything's just slightly more cohesive now.
Yeah,
after
just
the decant.
a bit more, hasn't it?
Exactly, and I think for me as well, it just helps bring the temperature up. This is a champagne that when I said to you when I tried it on Tuesday, it was too cold. I had it 10 minutes out of the fridge, and it was far too chilled for champagne of this style.
Yeah.
No, I think
we always say we prefer it, don't we, when it's been out. It's had time to breathe a little bit longer.
So this has been open. This particular bottle has been open since Tuesday. So it's not been decanted, but probably have a similar effect. So I'm going to have a little tipple. I'm going to see how this has changed slightly. Don't want to put too
much. How yours changed, because mine changed a lot.
Yeah,
I've got the same.
So definitely straight away on the aromas, you lose that oomph, like you said, that really sort of striking oakiness and power, and it has sort of mellowed and balanced itself out.
Yeah.
What we struggled with at the start, like you said, was the balance between the Pinot Noir and the Chardonnay. It wasn't quite harmonising yet until it was open in the glass. But this now looks and smells like it's going to be incredible. So
it is a shame that there's only one glass left.
no, there's something there. Oh, that's really nice. There's something there for you.
Tiny bit.
A little bit. I'll let you off. So no, that's it's really sort of matured well, and that's just bottle. So we'll Alex is taking Burmar out of a jar. We don't need any preservation for this. We can leave this one open. But no, I think it's really interesting how it has changed slightly. Not too much, which is great, but enough for you to want to go back. And it is, you get those subtle notes of oak now, not too overpowering. And
you start to get the tropical fruits, don't you, a little bit more?
Sorry, well, yeah, that's right. So yeah, you sort of get those. Yeah,
the tropical.
Try it. You'll get the sort of a bit of passion fruit and pineapple, and it's really interesting. How does that compare?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I agree when I taste it with Francesco.
I'm having it back. Sorry.
Yeah, Francesco, it's a good job that we're not just friends. we have a pandemic. It's a good job. What am I even saying? When we tasted it with Francesco, he did say they're quite unbalanced at first, but I think
it's definitely
he said when
up.
you tasted it more, the tropical fruit starts to come through, and definitely this has been open now, what, 4 days?
4 days, yeah.
So I definitely think that in a restaurant setting where you are opening it for a guest and they're drinking it straight away, I think, a quick blast around the decanter is probably a good way to go.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see what people would perceive that.
The thing we came up as well, because like plenty of times, like people don't like the idea of putting their champagne in a decanter, especially if they pay a certain amount of price. They just want to keep the fees. The idea they keep this larger glass, just to give a little bit of the decanting effect and let the wine open up. But definitely when it opens up, the blend just comes together. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I guess the other option would be just pretend you're in the Basque Country, just pour it from a height like you would a Chacoli.
Yeah.
I don't think my arms would be long enough to do that.
I'll have to do that one for you. No, super. So James, you've had a little bit of a different approach with you're going to explain some of your ideas with this. So Francesco's obviously been working hard in the kitchen. What have you been working on, James?
So I've gone for kind of single ingredients rather than because I mean obviously for mostly as sommelier we take a dish that already exists and pair a wine to go with it. So I've taken some kind of single ingredients that I think work really nicely with the champagne. That then if your chef at work is creating a dish around them, you can maybe look to pair it. So the first thing I looked at was. Let me see. My camera's on a really weird angle, so I'm going to angle it down. So hopefully you won't see my underwear. I don't know. Can you see anything?
Just you're more towards. Bring it up. Can you raise the?
Does that work? Is that? Yep.
Oh yeah.
So I've done a. Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's a selection just of wild mushrooms.
Okay.
Seps. There we go. Oyster. And I've got some inokitake and some shiitake mushrooms as well. I just wanted to really kind of latch in on the umami flavors of the champagne because there's so much of that kind of earthiness. There's that almost truffly, and then there's all that kind of chocolatey notes. So I think for pairings that you really just want to kind of carry on the flavour of the food and the champagne rather than to contrast. I think that'd be a really nice way to go. Similarly, I've done some. I've toasted some almonds in. Yeah, I just threw them everywhere.
You just
I did toast some almonds. Now they're mostly on the floor. But yeah, toasted some almonds and just with some smoked Malden sea salt. And again, really just to carry on that smokiness, carry on umami, carry on the slight nuttiness, obviously just from sheerly the age of the champagne as well, because it's got a fair bit of time on it now. And I did one that I really wanted to try for a kind of big umami hit was, I'm just going to hold it. So I had a 45-day dry-aged ribeye steak.
Wow.
And it's literally just been flash seared with loads of salt and pepper and then glazed with a soy reduction.
Yes.
Really just to layer umami on umami on umami. And it's amazing for a white champagne to actually stand up to a 45-day dry-aged ribeye.
Yeah.
It kind of the acidity and the fat play so beautifully together because it's such a fatty cut. And yeah, I was really quite pleasantly surprised by how well that actually worked.
Yeah, we've had it before, haven't we?
Yeah. Not 45.
And then otherwise, yeah, I, to be honest, I've gone a little overboard. I've got about 500 ingredients just over to the left of the camera here that you can't see. I went for some classics. I did little goat's cheese and rhubarb tartlets.
Oh, look at that.
Little smoked salmon blinnies.
Oh,
Funnily enough, going on what Chris was saying, I did actually try some blue cheese, but blue cheese with the AS is honestly one of the worst things. Say that again. Hello? Hello?
It's the worst thing.
Yeah, so this, I don't know if it's just a particularly rough blue I bought, but the AS with this blue was one of the worst things I've ever tasted together. It was genuinely awful.
Amazing.
And then I had a little bit of fun with one actual dish I put together, which you're not going to be able to see it.
No. That's a pretty photo and send it through.
There we go.
There we
There
go.
we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
There. So it's fennel that I've seared and then poached in chicken stock, saffron, and harissa.
Very nice.
And then served with a little bit of natural yogurt, because I do believe that champagne actually does work quite well with spice, even though I think a lot of people wouldn't really choose to use it that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, they kind of, it's the brightness and freshness of the champagne cuts through the yogurt, balances out the spice really nicely, and then the kind of semi-bitterness of the fennel just plays really nicely with it. And yeah, I've got another 20 things, but I won't go through them all.
No, we'll come back to some of those. I think they'll be great to explore. But I think to look at the first few that you mentioned, it's interesting that we, especially with sort of those umami flavors and those earthy flavors from the mushrooms, and we did a dish a couple of weeks ago with the AS, and it was a duck breast, but the sauce was with a soy base and some sort of 5 spice and a little bit of texture in there. But then we had some toasted almonds on top of as well. So
And
it worked really well, didn't it?
crispy cabbage.
Yeah, that was interesting. So what we did was we had basically just half a hispy cabbage on the plate, and the saltiness really brought out some different textures to the wine.
That
So
was my favourite part.
it was incredible. So instead of having something that sort of complemented the two, it sort of cut through it and bounced off each other. So it was something that we didn't know whether it would work or not. But on the plate, along with everything else, with a little bit of spice and the richness of the duck and things, it was pretty impressive. So really, when you said that you toasted off some almonds, it was we sprinkled some onto the plate for that dish, didn't we? So I think with this wine, it can be so flexible. Hence why you probably picked out so many ingredients. But we'll make sure we don't put any cheese with it.
Definitely stay away from that one.
Yeah,
it's interesting that you talked about obviously trying to pair something and it didn't work, because not everything will work. So we were thinking maybe to talk about some of our unusual food pairings, but maybe some that's not very successful.
and Michael's put Paddy is eating well tonight, James.
He is indeed.
So those of us who don't know, who's Paddy?
Paddy is a Springer Spaniel that I adopted around end of February last year, and he is perhaps the most well-fed dog in the world. Yeah, He eats a lot better than I do. I will spend an hour. Yeah, I'll spend 2 hours making his dinner and then just an hour making mine. So.
And an Instagram superstar he is.
I mean, he tries to be. He tries to be.
So Francesco. Oh, sorry, we was going to go on to the unusual stuff, weren't we?
Yeah.
You want to ask the question?
Definitely always.
So we will go into another question and answer with the audience, if that's okay. We are going to ask you now for your most unusual food pairing you have created. That doesn't necessarily have to have been a success. It could be a failure.
Yeah.
Like the blue cheese with James.
Yeah.
So.
And you've probably seen on our socials, we have done Pair the Wine. And we only posted bits because it was Cameron cooking, and there were some things that we thought, no, that is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, so those that don't follow the Do Six Wines page on Instagram, we did a little mini series of pairing some of our champagnes with food lockdown. Now
it was great fun.
It was great fun. It was hard work. Some dishes took all day.
Well, it was hard work for you because I just sat there, drank the wine, and ate the food.
You drank and ate, and I tried to cook. So some worked. The duck worked very well with this. We tried to make a rhubarb tatin, which was supposed to be a nice, lovely seasonal dessert, but we put about 4 litres of caramel into it, and it just was a soggy mess.
We also, Cameron decided to make some pasta.
Yes.
And Francesco was so impressed that we made pasta, but then he was gutted because we paired it with chicken.
Yeah, we put some chicken in the pasta, and the Italian in Francesco nearly didn't speak to us ever again.
I was nearly there.
So, come on.
I was nearly there, but because there's something we don't do very often, even though you can do it.
It tasted great.
There's a wonderful place in Manchester called Sugo Pasta. If you've been, James, and they have it on the walls. They have it on the walls of their restaurants of some of their rules, and one of the rules is we do not put chicken in pasta.
I'm gonna burn myself, and well, I'm not gonna burn myself. I'll burn somebody else, but it did happen once. And it wasn't me allowing this. Asking us linguine vongole with clams. So linguine with clams, chicken on top. I was about to take off my jacket and leave the restaurant.
Amazing. So, how are we going to put this to people? We're going to do it in the tables, do you think?
Yeah, I'll do it in the tables.
So, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the social lounge, which has been very popular this week. And we're going to let James lead a table, Francesco lead a table, and we will lead a table. So there are 17 people over, including us three. So what we would like you to do is when you go into the social lounge, please join a table that one of us three will be on. And we are going to discuss some unusual ideas. And we want to hear back what is the most quirky, the most out-pairing that we find. So we're going to take a very quick break. We're going to be back. What time is it? Just 4 minutes to. So we're going to be back at 1 minute past. So we're going to be quick. 5 minutes in the chat. And we will join you back live on stage to see what are the most crazy stuff you've tried with champagne. Okay, we're going to take a break and we'll see you very, very shortly. Hello. And we are back.
Hello again.
Hello, everybody. So, who was the hostess with the mostess? What were the conversations that you guys were having in the social lounge?
Actually, well, you go first, James.
I mean, a lot of people had their questionable pairings, their unusual pairings, but not many of them were actually with champagne specifically.
Okay.
A lot of people, I think a lot of people haven't really experimented that much with champagne pairings.
Interesting.
I have an unusual one, which was an interesting one I tried, which wasn't really successful, but was worth a go. Which was back when I was at Manor. Anyone that doesn't know the restaurant, it's very much inspired by kind of Nordic and Japanese cuisine in particular. We use a lot of fermentation. We have about anywhere from 20 to 50 fermented ingredients on the menu at any one point. And we did a dish which was it was a hazelnut chawanmushi, which is a Japanese savory set custard.
Wow.
And it had a hazelnut oil over the top with some Petrosian caviar, roast chicken, and coriander flowers.
Okay.
And so I had kind of three options when I came up with the idea. I wanted either a really kind of classic old school buttery Californian Chardonnay, ended up being my safe option on the pairing for people who didn't want to try things. The one that ended up going on the pairing full time was an Oloroso sherry from Lustau, just to really play with that kind of nuttiness of the hazelnut. But the original one, the one I wanted to work, Pinot Meunier dominant champagne. Aged Solera, really oxidative style, loads of nuttiness, quite autolytic, quite yeasty, and it worked beautifully. The flavor combination worked beautifully. Unfortunately, there was some sort of amalgamation of set custard and bubbles in your mouth, and it was just an absolute abomination. It made you want to spit it out. So sadly, it never made the pairing, but it was worth a go.
And that's interesting that it's not just flavors. You've got to think about the textures as well on the plate.
We just had a comment then in the chat from Pasquale talking, I heard about Kentucky Fried Chicken and chips, which is quite interesting because me and Cameron have been so busy this week and we're quite fortunate. We've got KFC just round the corner. So in between, we've nipped and got some fried chicken and enjoyed that for our dinner quite often this week.
Yeah, we did have a KFC and champagne pairing, not yesterday, the day before for our dinner.
And I've got to say, it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, guilty as charged, Pasquale. Fried chicken and fried food does notoriously work very well with champagne.
That came out. I mean, fantastic. But you know what, guys? The thing on my table, and I think that it's for everybody that concerns more people is just the price of champagne in general, and they don't wanna just go for something risky they wouldn't enjoy, because then they're gonna say, okay, I waste my money on something like that. But it's something that you can do at home. You just pop your champagne, and then if you don't like it, you open a bottle of wine.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that we've experienced ourselves, isn't it? And that's what's sort of driven an inside of the business into maybe working with establishments to offer the wine flights, to make sure that the guests can try something new, try a new pairing with champagne, but without having to open and waste a full bottle.
Yeah, we've discussed that. It was this morning, wasn't it, with one of the tastings that we did, and they were suggesting how they have over lockdown changed the layout slightly of their restaurant, and they've introduced a new private dining area, and they were very keen on discussing private events, tasting events, and an example being exploring grower champagnes from the different regions, and that way, obviously, it's a great opportunity to give guests an idea of different combinations, different pairings, different ideas, without the risk, like Francesco said, of paying upwards of 150, 200 pounds for something and it not quite working. Yeah. Funnily enough, Natasha, that we were speaking to in our table from Chewton Glen, she was saying that she could have guests in the bar, I think she was saying, and they would order a glass of Krug or a glass of Dom Perignon, and then they would go and order a club sandwich. So she was like, you're paying 50, 60 pounds for a glass and then ordering a £15 meal. So it was interesting that that more around education, you think, as well, with consumers around what's possible with champagne and obviously the prices that are out there?
I think that this more question that champagne is seen as an aperitif drink. So, you just drink it. It doesn't matter what you eat. And that's fine in most of the cases, because if you take everything that comes on the market as commercial from Maisons, they kind of having they're different, but they're having the same kind of flavors and profile. Yeah, they literally go with everything. But then if you go into something more specific, that is a whole meal, different kind of things.
No, definitely. I think, like we said, around the event side of things can help change consumers' perceptions and let them understand new things. I think from our point of view as consumers, it will probably be different to what you guys experience on the ground floor. How do you guys go about speaking with customers to try and entice them to try new things? Is that something that works well with recommendations, James? I know you did a lot of recommendations at Manor and things.
Yeah, I think, talking about it on the idea of essentially selling more champagne, I think one thing, kind of going back to what we were saying before, you need to move away from this kind of perception that there's wine and then there's champagne, that sparkling wine and wine are two entirely different things. That it's a ridiculous thing to say. They all fall under the umbrella category of wine. They can all be used in just the same way as any other wine. From that, I think it all comes down to for the people that are watching this. Most of them in the kind of premium end of the industry, where there is sommelier service and there's the opportunity to talk to every single guest and offer them pairing ideas and kind of tailor the entire experience to them. And otherwise, for me, it's you need to work with your supplier as well. You need to work out a way to make it affordable to put champagnes on pairings, because as Francesco was saying, you might have a wonderful, a perfect pairing for a champagne, but you look at the costing of your pairing and if I put that champagne on, I have to cut the budget on 2 other wines by £5 a bottle just to allow me to put the champagne on. It puts you off putting it on there, because I'd rather have, say if it's 8 wines on the pairing, I'd rather have 8 great wines than one more expensive great wine, and then it loses the amount that I can actually put into the other wines on the pairing. So it's always going to be tricky, and I think it stems from changing people's perception of champagne from the ground up, and it's something that I think as an industry we need to work on. No,
definitely. I think the commercial side of it is something we can't hide from as well. It's something that we need to discuss, and also, like you said, work closely, obviously, with us being the suppliers as well. We've had conversations this week around what's in the order and how many do we have to, what's the contracts and all this side of things. And it's like, well, we're in a position now, especially coming out of lockdown and out of obviously a 12-month dormant period. We're willing to have those conversations and be flexible to try, because we understand that these are new and unique and are a little bit of a risk for some sommeliers and wine buyers, and that those conversations and communications, like you say, are vital, and hopefully with the way that we can be flexible with things is we can let you guys and let the people we've been speaking to today try something new without the risk or the commitment that maybe a 3-year deal or something crazy that people get tied up in. We were speaking to somebody this morning about House Champagne, and I won't name the establishment obviously, but he was saying, I've come into this new role in a Michelin star restaurant, and I can't get out of this deal with this House Champagne, and I don't really like it. I'm not a fan of it, not just me personally, but the sales aren't great and they're stuck in it. So I think it's really important not to shirk the conversations around the commercial side of wine and champagne as well. And I know we've got some wine, obviously premium price, but we have some wines that we feel are really good value as well. But the conversations are massive, and to work with you guys with what you want to do, and obviously to help us from a business point of view as well. So that two-way partnership is vital. So I completely agree.
I do.
Sorry, I guess on that commercial side, it's then on us as sommeliers or wine buyers or whatever to show people where the value is in grower champagne, because you might be introducing this completely new concept. People that maybe they've been drinking champagnes their whole life, but if they're in this country, the odds are they've been drinking from the big boys most of the time because that's what's available. You have to show them that there is the value to be found in grower champagne and more interesting stuff, but we need to be able to do that. As particularly in small restaurants like Manny, we were a 26 cover restaurant. I couldn't afford to be throwing around new ideas all the time that were costing us loads of money and maybe weren't working. So it has to be viable, and that's what working with you guys, we can make it viable.
Yeah, I think this is the teacher in me coming out, but I do think education is 100% key. In changing people's perspectives. We had it with your dad, didn't we?
Yeah, as simple as with family, trying to convince family.
Yeah, so it was Christmas time, and obviously we will drink champagne morning, noon and night, but Cameron's dad wanted a champagne for Christmas to celebrate, and probably to start off the meal with on Christmas Day. So Cameron said, I'd recommend you maybe start with this, and then for the main meal for the turkey, drink this. And his dad was saying, no, we can't be having bubbles with Christmas dinner. No, it doesn't work. And we paid him Albert Pierens, wasn't
Yes,
it?
it was a Blanc de Noir.
The Blanc de
Yeah.
Noir. And we paired that with the turkey and told him you need to use a lot of cranberry sauce on there. And he said, yeah, okay, I'll try it. It's for you. He tried it and he was absolutely blown, wasn't he? He said, we're going to have to do this every year because it was that moment as well that made it special. But if he hadn't have tried it, then he wouldn't have experienced something.
But there's no way, knowing my dad as well, there's no way he would have gone into a restaurant and paid £150 for a Blanc de Noir Grower champagne to have with his roast dinner or whatever it might have been, similar style meal. So that education is definitely key with that. So Francesco, I see you itching in the kitchen. You are itching in the kitchen. You've got something else to show us, I believe.
What's that?
You've got something else to show us, I believe. Is there another tasty place?
I was worried I had it already. No, I didn't. Yes, I did make a couple of more pairings. Talking about fried food, fatty salt. James, I see you eating.
The steak was just sat there.
I did make something else, guys. This was an amazing langoustine. I'll show you the picture once.
Oh, wow.
So, wasabi mayonnaise. This is a little bit of smoked paprika. This is a Thai basil that has this kind of kicky flavor added to the normal one. And it's basically a little pastel and breadcrumbs, like kind of panko. Wow. Terrific. You just had it and you drink 2 or 3 bottles of champagne. 10 bottles of champagne and that's it. And then I bring something else because, of course, we did something kind of more Asian style, something a little bit more that way. But as I'm Italian,
yes,
I cook pasta. So, lemon ricotta.
Wow.
And botarga. Botarga is a gray mullet raw, just kind of cured. It's very traditional. This one, okay, I'll keep it here.
Yes.
This one is Sardinia.
Wow, you could get away with thinking that's a dessert. It looks incredible.
Yeah, kind of.
I think that would be the perfect dessert for Francesco. Anything pasta.
So,
no, actually, it was weird that I had spaghetti because I'm making so much pasta lately, so I did not have them. So,
and did it taste as? Does it taste as good as it looks?
I don't know. I was waiting for you guys.
Yes, come on, delve in. Tell us.
Well, the tuna.
You can't just tell us what it is. You got to taste it, and
you're right.
We'll believe you. It's terrible, but we'll believe you. It's like watching MasterChef. They tell us it's amazing, but it could be terrible.
Okay, the prawns are amazing. The langoustine. I'll tell you with the champagne. The pairing works. You know what? And this is something that James was saying before. It takes out this nuttiness after it fully opens up. That works amazing, especially with the food, which is fried. But at the same time, it still holds up on its acidity and refreshes your mouth. It just cleans it and it works perfectly. If you want, I can eat the pasta as well. I can tell you. Well, now it's cold, but
now you're just making us very jealous.
yeah, it's all right. But I'm doing it for you, guys.
It's okay. It's like a live cook along with Francesco. It's great.
Pasta is pasta.
Pasta is pasta.
It was good. It was good with the lemon zest, which is in the ricotta cheese. Yeah. It works good with the acidity of the botarga, which is quite intense as a flavor. Mm-hmm. So it goes very well in this taste too. This is not a very saline champagne, so it kind of goes to balance everything that is kind of strong as well as in terms of flavors. So it's beautiful.
So would you say the pasta or the prawns? Which was the best?
I'll go for the tuna. Well, the
tuna. Yes.
I'll go for the tuna. Well, I love the prawns, but the tuna was kind of more interesting. textures, all the contrast of the flavors with the coriander, the béarnaise. You're not used to pair the béarnaise with the coriander and the tuna, raw tuna, and the edamame beans. So yeah, that had a little bit of more depth.
Very nice. No, it's when you showed us the tuna backstage, I thought that would be superb. It obviously it looked great, but the sound of it was something that we thought would definitely work with the AS and bring out those flavors in that. No, it sounds superb, my friend.
Now until we're able to travel, and then we can come down.
We'll come to Francesco's house for tea.
Yeah.
Anytime, just let me know and bring at least one bottle each.
At least
one bottle each.
I'm sure there'll be more than one bottle each. What would be interesting would be Magnum. Yes, Roxanne, we'll bring a Magnum, and we'll come and join you as well, and you can come and join us, Roxanne. We'll have lots of Magnums, and we'll definitely try lots of new things together. That sounds like a plan, Roxanne. Magnums at Francesco's house.
Magnum is my size, so.
Jeroboam, Chris, indeed. We'll contact some of our producers and say what Jeroboams are in the cellar and how much are they going to set us back. One thing I will ask them, Francesco, we spoke about the Salmon AS this night. I know that you tried the Meunier and you loved the Salmon Meunier. So, can you tell us how the Meunier worked with a classic lasagna?
There was the best pairing.
Good. This is what we want. We want things not to work. We will learn.
Exactly, because then you can realize what actually is going to work.
Yeah.
It does have not enough strength to hold on the 7 hours cooking of the ragu and the bechamel. The kind of.
So it might work with one of my lasagnas then, because I can make one in 20 minutes. I don't leave it for 7 hours.
That's the beauty of the lasagna, and it's a very, very long process. And then I did everything on my own, the pasta and the bechamel. So I made everything from scratch. But in that case, the Meunier I found it more kind of delicate. It has a very good structure. It's super interesting, and possibly I like it more than this blend of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. But it really gave me something more. Well, it didn't work, and I think that was because of the ragu.
Of course, a proper ragu that you made, unlike some of mine, we would say.
That was very northern of you. A proper ragu.
Proper. I get flat cap on and my whippet on the floor. Roxanne says we will not survive this meeting. I know the way we are going, Roxanne. We're going to end up with 12 Jeroboams around Francesco's next week.
Guys, when you want, I'll text you the address.
So what we spoke a little bit about the Meunier that Francesco had. James, a couple of the cuvées that we've shared with you. I know you enjoyed the Adil Celeste from Philippe Glavier, and we know that you love the rosé. Is there any suggestions or any thoughts you've had around working that with food?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the Cossi Sophisticated. Actually, that's
what you're on. That's what Naomi's doing.
So there's a story behind where this original pairing came from, and it's a pairing that I have used. Well, not with the specific dish, but I say dish. You'll see in a second. But with a similar idea ever since. And it goes back to when I first moved to Manchester, where Christmas Eve, you finish your final shift, for your 24 hours off before you're back on Boxing Day. And you've been working 100-hour weeks and you're absolutely knackered. And I'd be getting the last train, the 10:40 train home to Shrewsbury. And 5 years ago, it started with, I had this idea. I was like, it's only a 65-minute train. So I was like, I'll get a little half box, something nice. I'll take a little snack. And it kind of went from there, really. And it all started, I think it was 2016. I did a 2002 half bottle of Chateau Moussard. And I did a pack of Torres Black Truffle Crisps. And it was,
very nice.
It was pretty good. This just to set this up. So I remembered my butler's thief to open the Moussard, but forgot a glass. So swigging nice sedimenty moussard from the bottle on a train, but
There you go.
it's not the first. It was the first time. It won't be the last. But anyway, 2 years ago, I wanted to do it with champagne, so I got a half bottle of Krug Grand Cuvée. I think it was the 165, 166 maybe. I wanted something to pair it with, and I was like, what can I get in a train station at 11 o'clock on Christmas Eve that will pair with Krug Grand Cuvée? And so I picked what I've got here, which is a Greg's vegan sausage roll.
Wow, that is super
And it was in fact one of the culinary heights of my entire life.
Yeah.
To the point that I think, if seat 36 car C on the Shrewsbury, the Manchester to Milford Haven train on Christmas Eve was awarded a Michelin star, my seat probably would have gotten 2. It was that good. So I figured I'd get one today. My first Greg's in
Wow.
probably 14 months, and only my second ever vegan sausage roll. I still don't know what's in them, and we'd try them. I thought we'd try it with the salmon, but I think now it would probably work better with the Sophie Cossi. So
amazing.
This is champagne pairing, food pairing with true Northern style.
Yeah. Food pairing.
Yes.
I bought this yesterday. It's really at its best.
It's not aged as well as the AS.
James, I really cannot wait to come to Northcote and see
A vegan sausage
roll paired with some champagne.
I'm sure Lisa Goodwin will be all over that.
We'll do an entirely Greg's and champagne flight. It'll be a dream.
So we're coming to Francesco's for some fresh pasta and ragu, and we're calling off for a takeaway Greg's on the way to yours, James.
There you go. Perfect.
I can't wait for both. Set menu, as Chris says. Indeed. I'll bring the beans.
It works.
Beans and sausage pasta. Does it work?
It does work. It does work. There's something, I don't know what they did in pastry to make it vegan and still make it flaky and buttery, but whatever it is, it does work with vintage champagne.
There we go. Michael says that's a winner on a savoury afternoon tea, James. So there we go. We'll suggest that to kids in the Savoy to make sure they've got some little mini vegan sausage rolls with their champagne. I love it. Amazing, super stuff. So the rosé then, dare we ask what you would go with the rosé?
I don't know. I finished it. Was I meant to save some?
No, never meant to save some. There's no point.
No, absolutely. I mean, with this rosé is quite a tricky one because it's not a classic rosé champagne at all. It's probably I don't think I've ever had a rosé champagne that is 90% Chardonnay.
No.
So yeah, even though it does have that little kind of grippiness, a little bit of grippiness of tannin, it is very subtle. Yeah. I think the way I'd go with this rosé, if I could have anything with it, would probably be a Christmas turkey dinner.
Wow.
Yeah, with a nice rich turkey gravy, a nice bit of sweet and sharp cranberry sauce. I actually think that would go really nicely. And I have a great bit of sparkling wine with Christmas dinner.
Super.
Yeah, I think that's the way I go. And I know that kind of goes exactly against what I was saying about champagne not having to be seen as a celebration drink, but it can be a celebration drink as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course. I think not to keep grilling you, James, but I think the good topics of conversation. The first bottle of ours that you actually tried was the Gamay Caractères. If you can roll your mind back to a few months ago, that wasn't it?
About 6 months ago.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is because I know there's a few people in the guests that have tried the Caractères this week. I know Roxanne and Emmeline had it. I think it was one of Emmeline's favourites, if I can remember.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to maybe have a discussion around that because that was Meunier dominant with a bit of oak in the Solera method. Is there any thoughts around that cuvée, which was one that you've tried?
To be honest, I guess I'd look at it in a similar way that I looked at the salmon, basing it because I think it even more so with the Caractère compared to the Salmon AS, it was all about that nuttiness from the Solera method, from all that oxidation it received while it was aging. I think it really took on that lovely nuttiness. It was really, really savory. So yeah, I don't know where I'd go full on with a complete dish.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just did a little squat. Not sure what that was for. Yeah, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay because Roxanne's given us a suggestion.
chicken.
Chicken in a Woodruff creamy sauce.
Yeah,
Cool.
yesterday with some.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds very good, actually.
Let's pretend I came up with that.
Yeah, we won't credit to you, James. We'll make sure Roxanne gets the credit for that. We had a great tasting with Roxanne. They had 5 of our cuvées, and there was some very interesting suggestions with some of those. One of the Cossi champagnes, it was mentioned. I think it was a monkfish dish. I think they recommended. I can't remember exactly, but it was a fish dish with they had the Blanc de Blanc Sophie Cossi, so slightly different to the Sophisticated. But I think Sophie's style of elegance and real of elegance and sort of light, refreshing notes is pretty incredible. So Michael's saying, James, can I say I love the t-shirt pairing as well? Wine wanker. There we go.
So this was this Christmas gift of my lovely mum Sue.
Oh,
So this is
lovely Sue.
who I promise she will get a recording of this. So everyone say hi.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Sue.
Yeah,
Is that nice way of your mum being able to call you a W-A-N-K?
and this is clearly what's of my job. So there you go.
Love it, I love it. Well, it can't be worse than my spelling error earlier in the chat. We will we'll cross over that one. I don't know if you saw it, but I apologize for that. If we were live on TV, there will be huge apologies going from the broadcasters. So no, that's great. I think what's been really good this week for us is to really speak with a variety of different establishments, from smaller 20 cover restaurants through to larger chains, and I mean we've got Nacho. I don't know if he's on with us tonight. Nacho, who's obviously head sommelier at Hawksmoor, that have a variety of restaurants around the UK, and then we've had Zuma, obviously have worldwide restaurants. So it's been interesting to see the difference of styles that they look for a wine list compared to smaller establishments with a little bit more autonomy over choices. And I think what has been great has been really to see the flexibility of these wines, which have been super special. So I think it's been an amazing experience to see what people have suggested with our wines, what foods to pair with those. So Francesco, I don't want you to go quiet over there thinking you've got away with it. We've just grilled James for 5 minutes on all the wines that he has tried this week. So we know you as a fan of the Code de Pinot from Joseph Detrues. Now we've had a lot of interesting comments on this one this week. We've had some people say it's one of the most amazing Valle de la Marne Blanc de Noirs that they've had. We've also had people say it looks like a bit of a fake Prosecco, fake pink Prosecco.
Ouch.
So I think it was because it's a Blanc de Noir, but it does have a slight pink twinge to it.
Yeah, and it was the person was, it's more of the aromas of a rosé prosecco coming through, which I love rosé prosecco, and I can.
As an easy drinker, it's perfect for it.
Yeah.
To get a bottle straight down.
Yeah.
But I think what was great with that is that there's so many interpretations. So what did you think of the Code de Pinot?
Yeah, it does have a lot of interpretation. The thing that I remember clearly was Naomi saying straight away is chewy.
Yes.
No. And then that is the thing, because when we tried it together, I had it open for a couple of hours already. So it did have the kind of same thing of the yes, which is not a thing. It's a normal thing for a wine, which is an alive thing. Is not just something there sleeping. No. So you got a kind of evolution in the glass as well. So you have your life in the bottle, your life before, and then your life in the glass. And I had that bottle open for 3 days, I think, and I tried it over the time. It really goes into different shades. Then the particular thing, and I think there was you telling me about this, is that they press the free juice into the wine. And it goes, I don't know if it's about the Pinot Meunier or the Pinot Noir. And it gives this kind of coppery bronze. So all about also the taste. So it does have some kind of tannin.
So it's an interesting sort of winemaking technique that Matthias and Thomas use. So they have a 125-year-old press in the cellar. They use that press for this cuvee, and they use 60-year-old vines. So Matthias selected his oldest Pinot Noir vines and plots in the vineyard, and he purposely brought those together for this Cœur de Pinot's cuvee. And what's interesting, they only use the first 10 to 15 hectolitres of juice. So that's where they really get the colour from, as a slight bit of maceration in there, and that first press is what goes into this cuvee, which gives it that little bit of a pink colour as well on the eye as well. So no, that's interesting how it's developed over the last few days for you.
No, but colour apart, you know, when I think at that champagne, what I think the most, and I think there's something we spoke already about, is that you're gonna get what you pay for.
Yes.
So you're getting a very, very good champagne that for that price range is class. It's alive, it's crunchy, it's developing in the glass. I don't want to say is having breadfruits or whatsoever. It's a very, very good Blanc de Noir. It's kind of crunchy. It goes very well with the majority of the dishes you can have during a meal. So from the antipasto, from the like. I don't remember in English. Anyway, it's fine. I spoke in English. Nibbles. There you go.
Nibbles. There we go. Yes.
Nibbles, starters, main courses. Yeah, but it is very flexible, and I think it's a very, very, very good champagne. And you can have fun if you find like the very right food you can pair it with. But if it's me, I would drink it on its own.
Yes. Yeah. Of course, and that's important as well. And I think Alex said that, didn't he, about the AS when we asked him for his food pairing? He said, "Well, me being obviously the creator and being from Champagne, he was like, I would prefer to enjoy the cuvee on its own, to really delve into its own complexities, its own flavors, appreciate it, and sort of study it in a way, I suppose, as a drink on its own, which again I think is important that we can provide those opportunities for people. That it has to be just with food that you can enjoy some of these wines. They are standalone, very enjoyable, very interesting.
We were speaking with somebody today, weren't we? And they said sometimes the growers maybe put a lot of focus on trying to get a really different champagne that's quite gastronomic, whereas sometimes you just need a unique wine that you can just drink on its own, which works perfectly. It doesn't always have to go with food, but obviously it's nice if you can have that alternative, which is good, and both are equally enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting conversation. I don't know if you two would add anything to this. I think we were talking about the evolution of the market and the wine list with champagne, and he was talking around how there are a lot of growers now that he was saying he wanted to obviously new and exclusive, but he was saying he has a lot of grower champagnes on his list. However, the grower champagnes on his list are all still very, very popular, and you can get those on a lot of lists already. So are you saying with these styles of grower champagnes that are very popular in the UK, sometimes they can try a little bit too hard to be extremely unique or different, and then sometimes, unless you're a champagne connoisseur or somebody that really enjoys something very different, it could be a little bit of a hard sell. So it was interesting that they mentioned to us around there being a wave of growers that have obviously got big backing in the UK and from big distributors as well, that sometimes are they trying a little bit too hard to be too different? I don't know if that's something you've experienced on.
Well, this is something obviously we were discussing on Tuesday about how this is perhaps what Sophie Cossi brings to your portfolio, in that she brings something that she's not trying to do anything completely out there. She's trying to do the classics and doing them really, really well, and doing them at a really good price. And I think that's where grower champagne isn't all about doing something wacky and different. And as much as that's part of the fun of grower champagne, that is something I love about it. It is great to see these growers that are just doing really, really classic, clean, linear, good champagne and doing it well and doing it for a good price.
Sure. Indeed, and I think like we said on Tuesday when we was discussing, we said that Sophie Cossi was the last addition to our portfolio. So we had growers on our list, and we got a message from a friend of ours who also suggested another grower, Joseph Desrouet, on our portfolio. And she said, listen, there's a female winemaker based just outside of Rams, and she is causing lots of waves in the market, not just because she's a female winemaker, but also because she's a grower producer who isn't trying anything too wacky, like you said, and she's producing really, really incredibly complex, traditional style champagnes that are really sort of making the big boys think, well, hold on a minute, not only are these grower producers making us look a little bit outdated, but they're also sort of beating us at our own game a little bit as well, some of the classical styles. And I know there's a few people in the audience that have tried Sophie Coffee as well. I know Roxanne and Emmeline had the Blanc de Blanc, and I think that was similar to some of the feedback that they gave was that it is more of a classic style, but it's very, very complex and still offers a little bit of something different as well.
I think it's good. As soon as we read Sophie's story and looked at her bottles, I said to Cameron straight away, without even tasting any of her cuvées, we have got to get her in. She is very, I've said this so many times, a real strong for the female empowerment, which I will love.
You'll fight to the end of the day, yeah, of course.
And then we tried her cuvées and we were absolutely won over. She is, like Cameron said, making huge waves, but doing it very, very well.
Yeah, and I think we weren't looking for somebody new, we weren't looking for any addition, but we just really could turn down the opportunity, especially with some of our vintages that are only 1,000 or 500 bottles produced. And again, this week they've been very, very popular. And when we send out all the price lists and everything else out to people, we've had to put that these are sort of reservation only. Some of these vintages. So it's great that those are being appreciated just as much as some of the cuvées on our list that are a little bit more out there, a little bit like the AS or the Cœur de Pinots and things. So no, that's interesting to hear. So one thing I would like to maybe ask, if I know there's a few people, I'm just looking at the audience list now. So we've got people who have tasted their cuvées already. It's nice to see Julio with us as well from Orrery in the audience. So I would like to ask if there's anybody that has tried our cuvées or tried anything this week that would like to maybe make a suggestion on something that they would think would be a good food pairing. We've already had an amazing suggestion from Roxanne with caractères. I know, Michael, we've not done our tasting yet, but I know you've been trying them this week along with some of the masterclasses. So I'd be interested if Michael or Roxanne or Amin or Chris or Julio, or if there's anything that those guys maybe want to comment or raise their hand or give us some suggestions. We don't want to leave you out. We've grilled James and Francesco for the last hour or so. We've got our raised hand here. So Michael's going to come to the stage. Your fellow wine expletive, James. We're going to turn into a foursome again. So let's see if we can get Michael connected. Michael, hello.
Hello. Yes. How are you?
We're all good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good. So first of all, James, I told you I would.
My hero.
I try to be. I mean, you're mine too. So, and Francesco. So we actually speak quite a lot each other. So it's quite nice.
There you go.
So I mentioned it yesterday, I think, to James and Francesco, pairing wise. If I was going to recommend one, it's pretty classic, but just because I think the flavors are so bang on and they match, would be like kind of oak smoked salmon, those kind of dishes with the AS. That for me, you get that oak, you get that kind of butteriness to give something, but it's still got that acidity to really cut through that kind of fatty salmon. I think that's for me would just work so well. And who wouldn't love scrambled eggs, oak smoked salmon, and a glass of champagne in the morning?
Definitely.
Sounds like
It's classic. So for me, that really enjoying it. So, and I'm looking forward to the tasting too. I'm trying to save a bit of each, but it's getting harder each day.
So are we. We've got left, we think, for tomorrow. We've got 4 tastings tomorrow as well. We've had Natasha Squally on today. We've got Natasha tomorrow first thing, and she's already suggested to get the croissants in for a nice Saturday pairing with some of the wine. So we'll look forward to that with Natasha. But yes, a little bit of smoked salmon with salmon airs. I like that. Yeah. And sounds superb. You've had is it the Voyage Jumel Blanc de Blanc that you've had as well?
My favourite one of the bunch.
Really? Wow.
It's, for me, I can see it as an easy seller.
Yeah.
First of all, people are going to love that kind of crisp acidity. But but it really showcases those flavors. For me, it was all kind of green apple, hints of yellow apple skin. You get, it like kind of not brioche, but more of like a buttered toast.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
No, we love that as well. As a non-vintage, like you say, Grand Cru Mont de Blanc, it offers a great selling point, and I think that's interesting. So yeah, we'll look forward to having a tasting with you, Michael. If you keep some balls there or some.
I'll try. I mean, I don't know what this closing celebration's supposed to be. I mean, I'm hoping you've secretly organised somebody to come around with a magnum of each for us and kind of spray it over the room or something. That'd be great.
We got the Jeroboams in.
Oh, brilliant!
No,
listen, does Michael know I'm at his door right now?
Yeah, James, have you bought that food?
I've eaten it all, sadly, and Paddy's the rest.
Paddy's got the rest. Brilliant.
Yeah, I have got some smoked salmon here. It's not oak smoked, but I have tried it with the Sommelier, and it does work really beautifully.
Oak chips. Apparently they work wonders for some producers. So if we rub it in oak chips, we'll be okay.
Absolutely. No, the cool producers are using oak essence.
Oh,
that's it.
Super. No,
oh, brilliant. Well, thank you.
No, Michael, thanks for joining us up on stage. Greatly appreciated. And the Jeroboam will be with you in a second.
Brilliant. Thank you. Also, I'm going to be up at Manchester direction probably in the next few months. So I will let you know. And James too.
Yes, indeed.
Already said that, so I'll be up there within about 2 months anyway for a weekend or 3-4 days or something.
Sounds good. Super. Top man, Michael. We'll see you over the weekend.
Brilliant.
So we've had a couple of comments as well. Do you want to go to the chat? I think Roxanne's given us another suggestion. So salmon rosé with duck à l'orange.
Yeah. I love that.
That's me.
Classic. Sounds good to me.
And I think that's interesting because, like you said, James, classic because it works and it's amazing. I was watching a little video. We have in between our tastings, we have 10-15 minutes in between these tastings we've been doing this week, and we've put 30 minutes in for lunch just to give us a little bit extra time. But on our lunch today, I was watching. I don't know who it was on Instagram, but there was a video of the Roux brothers from 40-50 years ago, and they was cooking a duck à l'orange. And it was a grainy clip, and you couldn't make everything out. But the environment in the restaurant, and Chris Robinson was on pairing wines with it, and the classic combinations. It was just inspiring to think these have lasted years and years and generations for a reason, because they're so enjoyable and they're so amazing. So Roxanne, I completely agree with that. And Julio give us a suggestion. So the Voyage Jumel Grand Cru Mont de Blanc, same as Michael. He says. Partridge would be a great match. Yes. So some partridge with that. I like that. So closing celebration is nearly a month ago.
I didn't even show you this before, but I've also I don't know if I can get. I've roasted an entire guinea fowl to go with the Sommelier.
Where have you pulled that from?
How many people do you think?
So much food in my house right now. Also, it worked beautifully.
Oh wow! So you obviously some of you know my background is in sport. So that is like being 1-0 down in the cup final and scoring a last-minute equaliser in the 93rd minute. You just pulled that out of the top drawer, out of nowhere, and just showed off his lovely roasted guinea fowl. Wow, amazing!
Well, Michael was asking, what about the closing celebration party? There we go. We're going to James.
We're going to James for his guinea fowl. Wow, incredible. So the time is closing in on us. I know we don't want to stop the fun too much. So the closing celebration was probably similar to what we've just done for the last 15-20 minutes, which is great. We've got lots of suggestions. We've had lots of people talking. So for the closing celebration, I think all we really need to do is to just raise a massive glass to James and Francesco, first of all, and lots of clapping emojis, please. Let's raise a glass. Thank you so much, James and Francesco, for your, and we'll cheers here. Look at that.
Oh, did you hear that?
Chris Ward will be happy with that cheers, wouldn't he? Hey? Chris will be in those acoustics in his house in London. He'll be enjoying that one. No, thank you very much, James and Francesco, for joining us. we will. We're going to end this session with a massive thanks to you two, and we're going to very quickly
And
go on.
a round of applause for the cooking
Yes,
as well.
Very,
Unfortunately, we couldn't taste, but
very impressive.
we're glad that you enjoyed.
So if you have got 4 or 5 minutes to spare with us before we finish the event, we will end this session and we will start the closing ceremony. And it will just, unfortunately, we'll have to lose the wonderful faces and personalities of James and Francesco for the last 2 minutes. But there are a few words that we'd like to say to close the event. So thank you very much, James and Francesco. And
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you on the closing ceremony in 30 seconds. So don't leave us too quickly, everybody.